Allah puts so much emphasis on these ties, on these friendships, on kinship, and a big reason for it is because He's like intrinsically put in us, like I mentioned earlier, a deep desire for strong family ties, and a deep desire to have like a mom who's loving and patient, a dad who gives advice and who's supportive, siblings who make us smile and we look forward to spending our time with. These are things that like when you think of the time that you spent with your brother, and y'all just had a good time and you laughed or something, how good that felt compared to maybe spending time with friends, you know? How good it makes you feel when you come home and your mom is doing nothing but hugging and kissing you and she's like, and I cooked food, you know what I'm saying? And that makes you feel really, in a very special way, right? Because these ties are unique, man. You have one mom and one dad in the entire world. And that's the way, and no one can take that from you or them, and you are bound that way. You have siblings who no one can ever say, oh, I'm your brother now, you know what I'm saying? So as much as we try to say things that like you can choose one, you can't choose the other, it's just in our nature to want to gravitate towards our family ties. You know what I'm saying? We have people like Steve Jobs, before he passed, he found out he had a sister and spent all kinds of money, hired like private eye agencies just to find his sister. He never met this woman, so he has no relationship with her. But the knowledge that he was related to her by blood mattered to him, so much so that he was willing to go on a search for this person. You look at like Star Wars, right? He's like, Luke, I am your father. You know what I'm saying? That was like a huge line. He was like, no way, dog. You can't be my dad. You know what I'm saying? But you think of it like this. Luke never saw his dad before that time and didn't know Darth Vader was his dad before that time. But when he found out he was, all of a sudden that was like life-changing. That changed everything. But it didn't change anything. He was still the same guy. He was just a guy he was dealing with. But by having that knowledge of him being his father, it's like it changed everything. Because that tie is like, it's unique. And so what we got to do, you know what I'm saying, is to do our best to not ignore that. And just accept it. Allah made us in a way where we really want to honor these ties. And we really want excellent family. So the more we try to bury it, and the more we try to like ignore it and replace them with friends and cool people, the more turmoil we are inside. I mean, that's honestly, that's how it comes down. Sort of, it's like someone said it's like a two-faced book or whatever. You're like two-faced on Facebook. It's like you're one way with your friends, you're like the coolest, most loving guy ever. Like, yeah, man, Adam is hip. He's so cool. I go home and I'm like, why are the dishes clean? Y'all suck. I'm going to my room. You know what who makes you smile the most in your family? Your mom? Can you say it like you want to?
Come on, brother.
My mom. Say it. My mom. Ibrahim, who makes you smile the most in your family?
My wife.
Yeah.
I was saying,
I'm about to say family, man.
Probably cousin Mukhtar.
Cousin Mukhtar? MashaAllah. Let me see. Our friend, what is friend? I don't know your name. What's your name?
Oh, is it one okay?
Faye? Faye. Who makes you smile the most in your family? Your mom. Cool. So, anyone else want to blow people? I mean, I'm in a happy mood. Who else makes y'all smile in your family? How do you not relate to you? Anyone else? Come on, guys, be honest. I told y'all I love my niece, my mom, you know what I'm saying, my little brother. You try hard to encourage your siblings, your parents, or whatever, to come pray with you. Or to go to a halaqah to join you, you know what I'm saying? Or maybe to do something that you feel like is pleasing to Allah, some sort of ibadah together, and it feels like pulling teeth, right? It feels like it's incredibly difficult, like you're the only one who actually cares. And you start wondering yourself, why is it so difficult? Is this like a common experience, or am I like the only one going through this? It's fairly common, right? Right? And so the most natural reaction is what? You get frustrated, right? You get frustrated, like, I can't do this, I can't keep up with this. Every time I ask, what's the point of asking? What's the point of encouraging? They're not going to come. They don't care. And then there are two problems with this. One major one is something I experienced. It sort of puts you in a mental state of sense of superiority. Like, I'm better than these guys are Islamically. You know what I'm saying? I'm better than them. They don't care. I'm at least praying. You know what I'm saying? I'm at least doing this. And so what happens is when these thoughts enter your mind, they materialize in your actions. Your tone is different with your parents. The questions you ask about your brother and sister are a little more slanted. And people pick up on this. People aren't dumb. They can pick up on when you have preconceived notions about them, because it comes out in the way you talk. But we look at the example of the Prophet Ibrahim, right? He lived with his father. And his daily task was calling to Islam. So keep in mind, he's talking to his father respectfully, being patient with him for a very long time. Because he lived with him. He sees him on an everyday basis. And yet, as an example of his behavior through that long time, the law gives us in the Qur'an is his incredible amount of respect, his incredible amount of respect and just love, despite all like the shortcomings and the roadblocks and not making any progress. And so what we learn, what I'm trying to focus on in this example is that, like, as much as we recognize that, like, Prophet Ibrahim was very respectful, it's really hard to keep that up. But he managed to keep it up for a very long time. So when we're having these sort of challenges, you know what I'm saying, that's part and parcel. That's what you sort of expect, that it's going to be difficult. And it's going to take a long time, you know what I'm saying? And you don't go into it expecting that, like, okay, maybe this will be the time. That's not our goal. You know what I'm saying? Our goal is that maybe inshallah Allah will accept and that Allah be pleased with our own actions. But the yield, hoping to see changes in their life, I mean, like, you're gonna drive yourself up a wall. And we do. You know what I'm saying? And that's what happens when we look at our example of ourselves and not the examples of those before us who've shown us the way to do things, you know what I'm saying? Right? Dealing with patience. I say it's impossible to be patient if you're not confident of the outcome. If you don't really have faith and really honestly believe that something's going to turn out a certain way, it's very difficult to maintain patience. So for example, you can go through 4 years of high school, getting up super early in the morning to go all these crazy classes, day in and day out, doing homework day in and day out, because you know, eventually I'll complete this and I'll move on in my life. And so when you're having, you have like exam week, I guess you guys have that, right? High school exam week or whatever. Or when you have all these assignments, things are piling up, you don't just quit because you know that, like, well, at the end of the day, this is going to lead to this, so I'll bear it with patience. Right? Similarly, with the Prophet ﷺ, he went through a number of challenges and difficulties and burdens and struggles. But he knew at the end of the day that by doing things the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked, Allah would be pleased with him and the outcome would be excellent. And so that becomes a source of patience, a knowledge of that. If I keep doing these things this way, eventually it'll lead to something that I can be satisfied with. And you see this every day. Check it out, y'all. I love sports. Love them, right? And what you see is some of the best coaches in the country, the best coaches in the world, when their team is, like, looking at football, right? If the team lets up 21 points in the first quarter, they don't start flipping out. Because they know that it's a process. Sure, you can get down early, you can get down later on, but they know that if I bear this with patience, my team will react a certain way, we can still play, we can still win, right? And that's what carries them through, that sort of calmness, that sort of awareness of what the outcome may be. But they're only that way because they know acting any other way is going to keep me from getting to this endpoint that I have in mind, all right? So that's something important to keep in mind when you think about your family, and specifically in this paradigm, where it's like family who are having difficulty encouraging to be, I guess, to be more involved in things Islamic and being closer to Allah, is that we have to set in our mind, what is the goal that I'm hoping to get to, that I can have faith will come to fruition and have patience in that goal. Is the goal seeing them become more pious? Is the goal maybe ensuring that Allah is pleased with the way I'm acting? Something that works for you, something that works for you, so you can always turn back and be like, that's what I'm working towards, and if I keep it up, I'm going to get it. And that's what Prophet Ibrahim is faced himself with. I'm working towards Jannah. If I keep this up, I'm going to get it. That's my patience. I'll be patient towards that.
I mean, personally, like, I was hoping not to be exposed, but look, y'all, I'm not a scholar, all right? 5 or 6 things. And I'm like, everything is based on those 5 or 6. So please don't be disappointed in me. I'm just be honest with y'all, straight up.
Alright, so if you could please share with me one new lesson you learned from the halaqah about family today.
What I learned from the lesson is that we should please Allah by pleasing our family. You know, what I learned from the lecture today is patience is pretty much the key. You know, without patience, you can't really please your parents, and you can't please Allah because, you know, you don't always get the outcome you want. And you should be patient with that so you can be rewarded. And I also learned that they have really great food.
Alhamdulillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.